As usual, we start with prayer, and I'm going to ask Mr. Kevin Baxter, who is from the Heart Trust and a graduate student at the University of the West Indies. Mr. Baxter?
Let us pray. Oh, Father in heaven, we thank you for today. We thank you for life. We thank you for the many blessings that you've afforded us. As we deliberate on this final day of our TVET conference, I pray that you'll come into our midst. May our deliberations be only of you and be fruitful and be productive. Pray that you bless the presenters, bless the participants. Lord, I pray that you'll cover us under your mighty blood as we do your bidding, as we do your will for various countries. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Kevin. Welcome to the third and final day of our TVET conference. From all accounts, we seem to have had some rich experiences yesterday. We had the perspectives from the Jamaica Center of Tourism Innovation, including the World Bank report on the changing nature of work. Remember to download that report in its entirety when you get a chance to do so. We had some interesting concurrent session and plenary sessions. The workshop on at-risk youths, where we got a chance to explore some issues and to delve into some strategies for engaging the at-risk youths. That was quite informative. And the tours to the Montego Bay Free Zone, to the Jamaica, the Convention Center across the road, and to the Hart Falmouth campus, they seem to have been quite exciting and informative. So today we are going into some more sessions of knowledge sharing and engagement. I would just like for you to note a particular change. At 11:50 today, scheduled for the Trelawney Room, that's 11:50 for Trelawney Room, there's an additional session. It's a session that will be presented on behalf of Professor Simon Yalams. He's in Nigeria and he's unable to make it. So his colleague here in Jamaica will be doing that session. And it's entitled A STEM TVET Educators' Response to Sustainable Learning Environment Needs of Internally Displaced Persons in Nigeria. Again, exploring the strand of at-risk and unattached youth. So please note that at 11:50 today in the Trelawney Room. So I will now hand over to Miss Olivia Campbell. Olivia is from Sutherland Global. They're a major partner for this conference. They have really worked to help to make this conference not only in terms of sponsorship, but also in terms of the planning and the coordination. And so they are responsible for this session. So Olivia will be facilitating this session, and she's the manager of strategic initiatives at Sutherland Global. So Olivia?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Monday. Good morning, everyone. Oh, you didn't have breakfast. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Okay. All right, so the coffee was good. Welcome to the Plenary 5. The strand we will be speaking about this morning is strategies for industry engagement, ensuring that teaching and learning in TVET is aligned to workforce development needs is key to successful TVET programs. This strand is going to explore the mechanisms through which the industries can be successfully engaged. We have two persons who will be presenting this morning. To my left is my colleague and friend, Alicia Gladys Knight. And I kind of feel like whenever I call her name, I should say it with a little panache because there's, you know, because we know the famous Gladys Knight. To her left is Mr. Clifton Reader, who is the managing director of what we can, I don't know, I've glimpsed it, I've experienced it a little bit. It's one of the nicest properties in Jamaica, the Moon Palace Resort in Ocho Rios. So today, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Alicia, because she'll be our first presenter. Today, each of our presenters will speak about their experience with industry engagement with TVET. Afterwards, we will have a short question and answer, so please save your questions. Alicia Gladys Knight, with over 10 years of leadership experience driving the talent management and development agenda of companies within tourism, hospitality, financial, and insurance, and now the business process transformation sector, Alicia is well known as an accomplished executive who gets a job done, making the hardcore people functions easy. In her current role of development of talent management and in her current role of Director of Talent Management and Development for Sutherland, Alicia is responsible for other things, creating a culture that promotes excitement and real interest in the nuts and bolts of performance management, in career planning, leadership fulfillment strategies, and development. Alicia has a master's MBA in general management from the Mona School of Business and Management at UWI. She has a BSc in tourism management from UTech, the University of Technology, Jamaica. She's a certified professional in Human Resources International and a certified professional resume writer. And she's extremely passionate about all things career. When she's not wearing her professional hat, Alicia Gladys Knight, I feel like, you know, Alicia Gladys Knight is a mother, mentor, and coach. Alicia?
All right, good morning, everyone. Should I now sing? I want you to survive the rest of the day. All right, so this morning we'll be looking briefly at repositioning TVET for the future-ready organization. And this is an important topic to us within Sutherland, and certainly it's something that I'm also passionate about. In looking at this topic, one of the key things we'll focus on is strategies for industry engagement. Right. So I'm going to invite everyone individually and collectively to look at this question and think about it as you go through this journey with me. Is TVET aligned with industry talent? Is TVET aligned with industry talent processes and practices to enable a future-ready organization? And I'll give you 20 seconds to just think about that question. Now, one of the things we have recognized within the industry is that the industry is changing rapidly, and I'm sure you will agree with that. Years ago, there was this concept of the industry being volatile, uncertain. There's a lot of ambiguity happening, and we're still seeing that today. Today, our customers' expectations are constantly changing, and these changes are being influenced dramatically by digitalization. The digital technology is changing how we meet our customers' needs. In addition to that, we are also being challenged with rapidly coming up with solutions that can meet our customers' needs. Now, with this dynamism within the environment, a big thing we have to look at is how do we ensure that our talent, the talent within our organizations, that they are ready to meet these changing needs. And that's a big question we have to wrap our heads around. And it's going to require an excellent partnership between government, organization, and definitely our private sector partners to ensure that this is happening. Now, there are two key issues that I want us to look at. And one is about the myth of certification and job readiness. Now, the reality is that there are times when we are faced with candidates who come in, and yes, they may be academically ready. However, one of the issues we're seeing coming out is that while they may be academically sound, they are not ready to add value within the organization. And so we have to differentiate certification and job readiness. The second issue I want us to look at, is it perception or reality? Does TVET supply equals industry demand? And we're not just talking about the quantitative number, we're talking about, meeting the actual needs based on what industry requires of a candidate coming in at whatever level. So these are two issues that we'll be engaging as we go through this presentation. Now, there are some key strategies that we have identified that we believe, TVET can adopt to enable a future-ready organization. And the first strategy is engaging industry to understand industry pipeline requirements. Now, what do we mean by this? One of the things we have tested and we have proven is that TVET has to have a better understanding of industry requirements. What are the skills required? We hear many organizations talking about moving up the value chain. And with this shift, it's going to require candidates who are fit and ready to do just that. Not only do we need to look at the technical capacity of our candidates, we also need to focus on forecasting. Within the dynamic nature of our business, we're big on forecasting. We're looking at numbers, how many candidates do we need? How many roles do we need to fill? And we believe that TVET needs to understand these things that impact how we recruit talent and the type of talent that we need. The second area is that of targeting and developing students to support the requirements of the industry pipeline. So, having had an understanding of what industry requires, we believe an output will be the ideal candidate. What does this person look like? What behaviors, what competencies should they have? And by having this knowledge, we believe it's now time for TVET to look at targeting and developing the right students to fill the industry pipeline. Make sense? And the final area is our ultimate destination. And that is delivering these ready candidates to the industry. And one of the things we think about when we look at these strategies is that at the end of the day, this can become a loop. So there's continuous engagement, there's a continuous process of targeting and developing the students, and of course, at the end of the day, we're filling the needs that exist within organizations. Now, I'll move on by sharing with you our experiences. Now, we're quite excited about some educational partnerships that we have formed with the industry. And a big one is that with the University of the West Indies, we have partnered with Portmore Community College and the Hard Trust NTA. So I'm going to share with you a little bit more about those partnerships, and I'll start with the end. Now, last year, we extended our partnership with the University of the West Indies, and we signed an MOU with them that saw us expanding the reach to developing 3 programs with them. The first that we had on the table had to do with global supply chain and logistics management. The second one was digital management, and the third one had to do with healthcare informatics. Now, we approached UE about these courses. However, based on ongoing collaboration, there was a gap. And based on the gap, UE didn't send us away and said, no, we're not going to take those courses on board. What they did, they have worked with us, and now we're at a place where we're fully finalizing 3 postgraduate certificates and diploma programs in these 3 areas. Again, 1, healthcare informatics, 2, management of digital trade, and 3, global logistics and supply chain management. And so not only are we contributing to the development of talent for our industry, but we believe that whatever is good for Sutherland is good for the industry and will ultimately be good for Jamaica and by far reach the Caribbean. The second partnership, which is with the Portmore Community College, saw us influencing their curriculum in business process management. And I'm happy to report that effective June 2019, we'll have our first cohort of interns. And we believe that this is a big thing within this educational partnership. And finally, I'll share a little bit of our partnership with Heart Trust, which is possibly the widest partnership. We have been working with Heart Trust in terms of providing internship opportunities for at-risk youth. That's one area. 2, we have invited them to come in and certify folks who we have trained. 3, we continue to work with them in collaborating with improving the training of their trainers. So we have train-the-trainer programs where, we're always exposing them to best practices, what is happening within the industry. And so, it's an ongoing partnership that we continue to expand based on the changing needs of the business. At the end of the day, we believe there are some key benefits to be derived from educational partnership. Apart from certification, which is critical, we believe that the benefits of having better quality candidates is a big plus. Not only that, but we believe that at the end of the day, from a business perspective, when we have the right talent on board, persons who are trained, who are competent, we'll better be able to position our business to offer higher level services to logos that are outside of Jamaica. And we believe that will be a big plus to economic development. And so at the end of the day, we believe there are three main calls to action that we need to focus on. And the first one is about the need for us to continue to invest in training and development. So we're saying that the government and organizations must invest more in training and development. Just recently, I think in last Wednesday's Gleaner, there was an article which highlighted Richard Pandui, who is one of Jamaica's leading industry leader, sharing at a conference that, in as much as businesses are proactive in investing in technology, state-of-the-art technology, and in equipment, they must equally invest in human capital development. And we totally concur with that. Secondly, TVET must reset competency standards to ensure certified candidates can support businesses that are moving up the value chain. And we see that. From time to time, you'll hear talks of persons being afraid of AI taking over, robots, and so forth. But we believe that there are some tasks, there are some processes that the robots can't replace. And so we have to proactively identify where our niche is and proactively fill those needs. In addition to that, in as much as we're focusing on the technical competencies, guess what? It's not business as usual, it's business unusual. And so we have to look at the leadership we're preparing to lead these folks. And it's a different leadership competencies that are required to lead folks who are operating within the digital space. And interestingly, we have to start making that shift from now. And finally, There needs to be an ongoing cohesiveness between TVET, government, and industry that will determine continued success for both industry and economy. And as I said earlier, if it's good for Sutherland, it's good for business, and it definitely will be good for the economy. And so my charge to you this morning is, what's your commitment to using TVET as a catalyst to enable a future-ready organization? Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Quite informative. I think we have a lot of questions. Please hold them until the question and answer section of this. We're about to welcome Mr. Clifton Reader. So we're going to shift a little bit from the BPO world into the tourism and hospitality side of things. And I think it's quite instructive. 2 of the tours yesterday, one went to a BPO, one went to, well, the other 2 went to hospitality type institutions. I think Falmouth and the Heart Training Center in Falmouth, and right across the street at Convention Center. As everyone knows, these are the industries that the government is looking at to really grow the economy over the next couple of years. And so we need to really kind of focus a lot of our TVET attention toward that. This morning, Mr. Reader is coming to speak about workplace readiness and the skills that young people need to have. He is a bit of an authority on the matter. He's currently the managing director at Moon Palace, Jamaica. He's a graduate of Nova Southeastern University in Florida, where he acquired a master's in business administration. He has a BSc in hotel management from the University of the West Indies. Additionally, he holds certification from Cornell University School of Hotel Management, the American Hotel and Motel Association, and certificates in personnel management and industrial relations. Clifton has also been a general manager at Sunset Jamaica Grand, Sandals Beaches Resorts, and his work experience has not just been in Jamaica, but has been extended to our Caribbean neighbors in Bahamas and St. Lucia. Would you please help me welcome Mr. Clifton Reader?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. As was mentioned, my name is Clifton Reader. I'm the man from Clarendon, just across the pond. I've worked in the hotel industry for about 35 years now, and a couple of things I have to share with you this morning. First and foremost, getting into the industry was almost a mistake for me. I remember coming back to Jamaica, applying to UWI. They lost my application, so I had to find a job. And the job was at Wyndham Kingston. Stayed there for a while, then decided I like the industry, so I should really get a degree in tourism. Off I went to Nassau after became a front desk manager with Wyndham Kingston, only to find out that the university was actually 10 or 15 years behind. We were operating IBM computers at Wyndham, and when I went to university, they were teaching me on an NCR 2100 system. Now, how could they be preparing me for the industry when they were at the time 10 years behind? Fast forward a little bit, I went back to Nassau to work with one of the 5-star hotels over there. And I happened to have been a part-time lecturer at UWI. And the first thing I did was to put all the textbooks aside. I said to the students, I am going to teach you how to get a job and survive in the hotel industry. So I took all the literature from the hotel and I allowed them access to the hotel in terms of for them to be properly socialized as to how and what we do in the industry. If we're going to turn out a bunch of theorists, then when they come in front of people like me, they will be shunned. Because the thing is, managers in the industry nowadays, they don't have the time to nurture as they once did. They're getting 300-400 emails per day, and they have to clear them. They're not the traditional leaders who require followers. They set systems and expect the learning and training of people from institutions will guide them through those systems, motivate them to work, and they give incentives so that people will see the incentives and excel and work towards making themselves better. When you look at our industry today, it's not about your technical skills. It's no longer about you being able to impress people. 5-star service, ladies and gentlemen, is an attitude. And if you don't have that attitude, many years ago we said we employ the attitude and we will train the skill. Is that true? To a great extent, yes. But I can tell you, the hotel I know I'm a part of is a 5-star 4-diamond hotel. And as my assistant is famous for saying in training sessions, if you don't have the right attitude, you cannot work in the palace. We don't want you in the palace if you don't have the right attitude. Because you're going to do something out of the norm because you're not properly socialized. Ritz-Carlton came here to Jamaica, and Ritz-Carlton failed because of many reasons. One of which was that our institutions were not able to provide them with ladies and gentlemen to serve ladies and gentlemen. And if we're just going to take anybody, anyone, into the TVET system, we're going to fail. We will forever have 3- and 4-star hotels on island because operating at the level that we operate is a totally different ballgame. We expect discipline. Yes, we expect knowledge. But it reminds me of a year and a half ago, I called what I thought was a mechanic to fix my car. And nicely groomed, dreadlocked gentleman showed up, wearing a tie, everything set up, and he came with this. And he jumped into my car and he pulled out a couple of things that I didn't know was there, and he hooked up his thing, and he said, okay, you need this, this. I will get everything. Diagnostic is the best way to go. When we are taking in students into TVET, into any institutions, we have to ensure that they have an aptitude for technology. Nowadays, you turn up to a hotel, in fact, you can make your booking, and you can actually get a barcode so that when your room is ready, you basically just go to your room, take your smartphone, and open the door. Because the computer system would have sent that information to you. So if you're turning out people to work on my front desk and they don't understand technology, they're going to be left behind. They're going to fail in terms of their first 3 months of being on the job. Let's look not only at the preparation, but some of the new jobs that are in the industry right now. We all now have to be subjected to psychometric analysis. And believe me, the amount of problems in the workplace, we also employ psychotherapists, whether through our foundation, because people are having so many different issues. Paralegals. Are we training people? Everything is about the law these days. Customer service is about the law. Somebody said to me the other day, I prefer to employ a thief who knows what he's doing than an honest man who does not know what he's doing. Because down the line, the honest man is going to cost you more, the thief you can watch. But at least they won't make your organization liable. In this day and age, if you say too much in the organization and you don't know the law. When I went to university, I had to study law, hotel and catering law, because that can make or break an organization depending on what you promise or say to a client. Are we teaching these things at TVET? Are we sensitizing our people, our frontline people? Yes, the managers may know these things, but who will be dealing with the guests out there on a first-hand basis? It's not the managers. When you look at, when I worked at super clubs, we used to have locksmiths and all those nice people who used to go and cut their thing. Now you go on a computer and you cut a key. And you enable a device, as I said before, to do all of those things. We are now in such a way that we don't need mechanics anymore in the hotels. We need technicians. When you go into my laundry, it is a true factory. But you don't have a guy walking around with tools. He has to go into the programming of the machine. And if anything is mechanically wrong with it, the program will tell him. Just like you're driving your car and one of the wheels, the pressure is low, it will tell you the right wheel has low pressure, you can only drive for 50 more miles, and you should get it fixed. It's the same thing we are seeing now, but what is happening is that institutions are staying behind, and they are basically doing the same thing that was scheduled on a program 20, 30 years ago. I used to love CAST. For those of you, it was a technical university in Kingston. It became UTech University. So now we have 2 theoretical minds in the country. We used to love to employ UTech people because they came ready. Can I say the same thing about TVET graduates? Absolutely not. Because I was food and beverage manager a couple of years ago at what was Jamaica, right across the road from Hart. And whenever I used to have functions, it wasn't a problem for me. I just call up. I think Mr. Wint was there as the manager then, or Mr. Errol Lingo, for those of you who remember those names. And I used to just call them and say, okay, I need 20 students. And they came ready. They were dressed appropriately. They had all the bells and whistles ready to serve. Attitude to go. Try that today. It cannot happen. And because you want these students to learn and earn at the same time, we're keeping them trapped in the institutions. A lot of hotels, if you work with them, they will give the necessary exposure. I have said it several times with my hotel. but we don't get the take-up. We are not getting it because heart, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, is a numbers game. We are trying, like many universities, to see how many people we can graduate. And we are looking for the quality of those people. We are realizing now that, look here, there's a second wave of Spanish hotels coming to Jamaica. And this second wave is operating at this level. And the requirement is that they would prefer Jamaicans to staff their hotels. But are we training people? Are we teaching people to speak Spanish? Probably we're still doing French, we're still doing German, and we're still doing those other things. But we have to look to see exactly what the needs of the industry is. And it's not that we are demanding so much that cannot be filled. Again, going back, I remember when TVET, again, working in the hotel, they formed a lead group, Dr. Ben Henry, the late Dr. Ben Henry, myself and Leo Gordon, who was with TVET at the time. And we were tasked to rewrite the program of food and beverage to match the industry. I wonder who are doing that kind of job now. Who are those people? Are they industry related? And ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to take you too long because I could speak on this for a while. But knowledge transfer, every time I remember working in the Bahamas, the Bahamian, once they issue a work permit, they issue it for 2 years. And the requirement of those people, you literally lay it out on the work permit guideline. You have to go into the Bahamas hotel school and you have to give at least 2 hours of your time per month. And also, if you're a chef, you're given 2 commis chefs to work with. And in the 2 years that you're there, you must develop these commis chefs. And it was part of what we call the BHTC program. When will we have this as a requirement in Jamaica? Instead, what we do, we get all these well-learned people to come to Jamaica to work for 3-4 years, and they come and they give us beautiful products. But the knowledge transfer in an organized way is never there. They may teach 5 people in a pastry shop, but when will Hart say to me, you have 3 expatriates on your staff, let them come once per month to speak with the staff. When are they going to look at Jamaican professionals who are well learned and can transfer the knowledge and basically say, this is not part of the program, but it is a good way to transfer knowledge from the expats, from the locals, to the young people coming up. One thing I know about people, after you spend so many years in the industry, you want to teach. And people get satisfaction from teaching. But we are retiring our people. One hotel I worked at, they took a retired Marriott general manager and placed in the hotel and said to us, learn from him. And believe me, it was one of the best years I've spent in the hotel. When I spent 3 years literally at the feet of one of the greatest minds in Jamaica, Carl Hendrickson. And I can tell you, just learning from his experiences, it's not about all book work, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about sitting in a classroom. The proportion of time that you spend in the classroom should be balanced with practical experience. Get the program redone so that you're always knocking at our doors, asking us to give people the experience that we have, because what you're teaching may not be in congruence to what we are expecting in the industry. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Reader. Okay, so I think we covered a lot of ground there. I think some of the takeaways we should really pay attention to: workforce readiness is critical, attitude is critical. Our students need to be prepared with relevant skills, and we're not just speaking about the technical competencies, but things like, you know, prepared to use technology and prepared with background in law and that sort of, those sort of topics that can better allow them to deliver. And institutions need to be nimble as well and be able to deliver that sort of training and development. Alicia spoke about how important it is for industry to have a voice in that conversation, to speak critically and to work in partnership with government, with training institutions, with education institutions, to guide them to best practices, to forecast needs, and to really be prepared to develop candidates who are prepared for the future of work. Mouthful. Okay, we are running a little bit late on the program, and I think we would like to try and, you know, catch up a little bit, but I'm sure there are some questions. Does anyone have questions they would like to pose to Alicia, to Clifton? There's a mic just behind you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's not really a question, it's a comment.
Would you identify yourself, please?
Certainly. I'm Gonette Sinclair Mirage from the University of Technology, Jamaica, specifically the School of Hospitality and Tourism Management. And my comment is directed to Mr. Clifton Reader, who is no stranger to the school that I head. I just want to say, Mr. Reader, thank you very much for your presentation. Although we do not offer the TVET program or curriculum, but what we offer at the management level is quite similar. And we are challenged in attracting students that we used to get in terms of their attitude and behavior at the admissions level, even in transforming them to the graduate level, to be graduates of the program. And so what you said is quite acceptable. But only to reinforce, though, that we are still preparing work-ready graduates right across the university. So I hope that will bring some solace to any observation that you may be having in the actual industry. Again, we seek your guidance in becoming more relevant in matching our curriculum to the needs of the industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There was another question.
Buenos días, y no es una pregunta, es un comentario. Good morning will not be a question but a comment. Mr. Reader, you have made my day, and I hope the days of many here. My name is Martha Corbett Ball, Cuban Jamaican, working at the Ministry of Education with responsibility for foreign languages. One of the things that I want to say is that I am very happy to be at this conference, very well organized and conceived. But I have a question. How have we succeeded so solidly to have organized a conference with over 70 presentations and only 2 or 3 have made reference to foreign languages as one of the 21st century skills? I am appalled, and here is the colleague representing UNESCO from Chile. I was speaking to him and to other colleagues, and I keep on saying, I am a result of the Middle Passage migration, Jamaicans going and coming and back in Jamaica, giving back to Jamaica. And what I realize is, right at this hotel, the nurse is a Cuban, the tour guide is a Cuban, the concierge is a Cuban. When you start in Ocho Rios all the way up to Negril, many of the high-end paying jobs are in the hands of foreigners. You are at Moon Palace, and I assist as linguistic aid for the children of those workers you have from the Dominican Republic and Mexico and Colombia. The issue is that HEART has a responsibility of training our labor force. What is happening with including this important element that enables our workers and trainees to take on these jobs? Right now, with the hotel situation in the North Coast, and since I am part of both communities, I will have access to more information. And for instance, the health service was offered by a group of Jamaicans. The Carreras group has come into the area, and they manage Hospital that has location in 7 countries in the region. And by extension, they have taken over that health service, just to provide an example. That means now that more of what would have been the work of Jamaicans gainfully employed will continue to pass into these companies, investing in Jamaica, yes, but taking over. What about we just sitting down, like you said before, and getting this group of thinkers to immediately put in place what requires to be able to qualify our people? In 2013, I prepared the first bilingual cosmetology program for the cosmetology HEART faculty. And up to now, I know it is not being used, just to provide an example. So I will love to endorse your presentation, and I will love to invite all the decision makers to consider that along with the excellent work being done, until we extend this market into international standards by adding this foreign language component, we are not going to succeed with keeping the jobs on Jamaican soil. Thank you very much.
I think many of the managers in hotels, owners of hotels, they're also working to make sure that Jamaicans learn the language, not only from the schools. It would be good if they could come in with it. But like my hotel, when we first started out, we sent about 200 people to Mexico to just socialize them into the culture, because that was very important. And we brought down a linguist as well, a Spanish teacher, to teach the Jamaicans. So what is happening and has happened, we probably started out with maybe 50 work permits, and now we're down to 20 or 30, because we have trained internally the Jamaicans or teach them Spanish, so that they are now taking over some of those jobs that depended on Spanish. Because it wasn't about whether to give a Jamaican a job or not. They just could not get it because they didn't speak Spanish. Not that they weren't technically qualified for the job. But now we are doing that transition. One of the things that TVET and many other training institutions need to look at as well is the vacation club. The vacation club is quietly taking over. Again, we started out in one section with all, not only Mexicans or from Dom Rep, but from the States, everybody in that area basically were expats. And over the 3 years, it's now less than 50%. So institutions are doing what they can, but it would be far accelerated if training institutions start to look at these new sectors and the enzyme that really promote the growth of tourism and getting Jamaicans qualified for these new jobs.
Okay, I see two questions. I'll take the gentleman in the center aisle first, and then the lady in the, well, my left. Go ahead.
I am not.
Oh.
Someone is asking, but
Could you?
I am the Dr. Bartley.
Oh, great. Thank you.
And I am a practitioner in delivering Heart Trust TVET education in Jamaica today. However, the two speakers, Dr. Mirage over here and Mr. Reader over there, I am an old horse to them in the sense that I was at UTEC when the program started as one of the lecturers there, and that I preceded Mr. Reader at the Sheraton Kingston Hotel with people like Edward Bloomfield and guys like that. In addition to that, I am also from Clarendon. And I speak, Mr. Reader, I'm going to introduce a word here, which is sustainability. A lot of the programs of which we have running today were from the 70s. For example, I'm a product of the Jamaica Hotel School at the Hotel Casamonte, which would have prepared me to come into any hotel that was on the island at the time to work day one. I was ready. In fact, that was how I got into Sheraton Kingston. The word sustainability, what it means is that the programs get started and they miss the boat along the way. Consequent, a whole generation is lost as far as a particular kind of training and the carrying on of the attitude is concerned. Heart is today bridging a gap there, I think, and I speak for them because I am part of what they are introducing now, a mentorship program. It's very critical because we can now get mentors from the industry, and that will also bridge the gap. It is the same set of circumstances of which you speak. What the industry now needs to do, and what Heart now needs to do, is to get a matching situation for the different careers and whatever is happening. But however, UTEC, for example, when I worked maybe about 10, 12 years ago as a VP at the Northern Caribbean University, where we have an active mentorship program. And we were matching staff with students of particular needs and stuff like that. It's a big job. What needs to be done now, what Heart needs to do, what you need to do as an industry player, and UTEC, is to do the same thing, the matching program. Because unless that happens, you speak of equipment. I know of that NCR 21, you know, I worked with that machine back then also. And I also, believe it or not, was a precursor in that university program of which you speak. I was in the Bahamas also. Never learned anything when I was there, but because I had carried a lot of things there with me. I'm also of the Hotel Motel Association program. I have that diploma, that black diploma. Guess what? We know the sustainability is what is missing. And I am happy that Heart is now recognizing the mentorship program as a critical part of the process to link it. And I sincerely hope that the UTEC representative and yourself will become part of that solution Because unless we have that matching situation, we are still going to be where we are now, or worse, 10 years down the road.
Thank you very much. And we will take the last question, and I'm going to ask you if you could be brief, if it's a comment.
I will be brief.
Thank you.
Deborah Ferdinand James. I'm a lecturer at the School of Education at the St. Augustine campus in Trinidad. I'm at the delivery level in the classroom, and I'd like to just ask if you have any programs in place where we who deliver the curriculum in the classroom to help marry that theory and practice in the classroom in a better way. Do you have any programs for externships where not only for students to get the exposure to the industry, but we as academics, not just this conference, which is more or less professional development, but for us to go into the industry and get that experience so that that knowledge transfer could be better achieved in marrying the theory and the practice?
Alicia, oh.
All right, so at Sutherland, we do facilitate that. I did mention the partnership that we have with Heart Trust NTA that sees us training their trainers. But we're always open to these partnerships because, you know, we understand that it's important for our lecturers or facilitators to be abreast of the changes that are happening in industry, to have really hands-on experience in these areas, to be able to marry both, as you put it, marry the theory with the practical. And we believe this will help to deepen the competency base and ensure that the candidate, at the end of the day, is in a position of readiness.
I would suggest that it should not be a separate program. It should be one program, and you integrate both the theory and the practical. So it is just about coordinating with the industry or having the labs and the simulation to allow for that practical experience. So I think it's danger when you see that a separate program. One program where we talk about the practical competency-based component, and then all the coordination go into having a strong practical on-the-job component integrated in that.
Okay.
Sorry, just to wrap up, in the current MA leadership in TVET and workforce, there's an active industry furlough experience.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I've benefited immensely from that aspect of the program. So I just want to add that.
And thank you very much for that. I'd like to add a little bit to that as well. One of the things that I'm going to implore all the stakeholders here today to also consider as you leave is the process. And basically, from our experience, Alicia and I worked together on the UE partnership. And it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of engagement back and forth, and you as institutions need to be prepared, as well as industry needs to be prepared to really invest heavily in it. I would encourage our colleague from St. Augustine to have a chat with the School of Education up at UE, because we've been working very closely through Professor Halden Morris at developing these programs and working at ways that we can integrate work experience into all the programs that we do. So we are working, they're developing at the UE that we are working closely with them on. I'd also like to give a shout out to Heart as well, because Heart has really done a lot for the BPO industry in terms of trying to understand what our needs are and trying to work with us as an industry that moves very quickly. So for instance, one of the things that one of the new initiatives we're working on with Heart, and I'd like to encourage other people in industry to think about something like this, is when we reject a candidate Often we know what they are lacking, but Hart would have trained them and sent them to us. They don't know what they are lacking. We are working with Hart to say, we have done our data analysis, and among these people, we find this particular skill is lacking. Can you work with us to develop a program that will address that deficiency and allow that person to come back and be re-interviewed and considered for employment? And that is a level of engagement that we need to be doing and need to be working at. And it takes a long time. It takes a lot of persistence. We've been doing this, Prof. Morris, for 2 years. But what we will come out with is nimble, trained TVET in institutions, as well as very capable candidates. I'd like to thank both our speakers this morning. I'd like to thank our audience this morning. You have done a very good job in kind of raising our issues as well. And I'd like to invite us all to move to the next session. But Dr. Roamond, before I go, thank you.
Thank you all. And just to say to Mr. Reader, this is what it's all about. We are integrating efforts with the industries, providing opportunities for our students for workplace learning, and part of that building of relationships, integrating effort is really about the feedback. So we value the feedback, and we will use it to improve how we coordinate, manage, and deliver program. The issues you're concerned with, at the Hart Trust, we're also concerned about those issues. And we really need to hear from our industries and from our employers. So thank you. We will now extend delegates some courtesy to Sutherland Global. Dr. and Prof.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Again, we made a special effort to get our industries aligned to Caribbean TVET. As one of the industrial partners, we are, like we do for Grace Kennedy, we are recognizing Sutherland as a very strategic partner in moving forward with this Caribbean TVET. And they have contributed significantly to the management and the delivery of this program. So,
Okay, thank you all. We will now, Mr. Reader, thank you. Thank you. Quite a stimulating presentation.